Haha, yes, the apple scene in Christopher Nolan's new film Oppenheimer. Is this scene even historically accurate?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Well, there's a lot of confusion revolving around this, so we're gonna break it down and get to the bottom of it. So in the beginning of the movie, we see a young Robert Oppenheimer at Cambridge, and the whole time he's very disoriented. The movie does a really good job with this, showing his sleepless nights, his hair's all messed up, breaking lab equipment, and he's severely homesick. He writes a letter to a friend in 1925. I'm having a pretty bad time. The lab work is a terrible bore, and I'm so bad at it that it is impossible to feel that I'm learning anything. The lectures are vile. Then, Oppenheimer reaches a breaking point after his professor, Patrick Blackett, rejects him from seeing a lecture being given by visiting scholar Niels Bohr. He takes Blackett's apple and ejects it with some cyanide. Okay, so we got that. Let's start with, where does this historical evidence of this story here even come from? That would be a book called American Prometheus by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin, a 2005 biography on J. Robert Oppenheimer that took 25 years of research to make. Now, when you look into the Sherwin guy, he amassed some 50,000 pages of interviews, transcripts, letters, diaries, declassified documents, and FBI dossiers, just stored all in his basement. Incredible. And with all of this information, both Sherwin and Bird suggest that Oppenheimer may have exaggerated the story a little bit, and the poison might not have been cyanide, but something that would only make him sick. So already the historical accuracy there is up in the air, but this is where it gets a little deeper than described in the movie. Somehow, Cambridge officials found out about this incident, and Oppenheimer's influential parents at the time had to intervene and keep him from being expelled. The only punishment for Oppenheimer was that he had to undergo psychiatric treatment and put on probation, which honestly, some of this would make a little bit of sense. Robert Oppenheimer's father, Julius Oppenheimer, came to the United States as a teenager in 1888 with no money and no knowledge of the English language, until he eventually struck success, becoming an executive at a textile company, making him very wealthy. When they moved to the rich side of town in Manhattan, West 88th Street, he probably got to know some very powerful people. Now, how Cambridge officials found out about this is anybody's guess. There's no solid evidence. Did someone walk by the classroom and spot him? Did Blackett know at the time and discreetly report it afterward? Did Oppenheimer's conscience get the best of him and he turned himself in? Your guess is as good as mine. Charles Oppenheimer, the grandson of Robert Oppenheimer, recently told Time magazine, "There's no record of him trying to kill somebody. That's a really serious accusation, and it's historical revision. There's not a single enemy or friend of Robert Oppenheimer who heard that during his life and considered it to be true." But if you double click on what Charles Oppenheimer says here in this quote, he's only addressing the movie's depiction. And in the movie, we see Oppenheimer using potassium cyanide, which if you look into this, it's a highly toxic chemical asphyxiant that intervenes with the body's ability to use oxygen. And exposure to this potassium cyanide, as you can tell, can be rapidly fatal. You lose oxygen, you die.
You lose! Good day, sir!
And if we remember, biographers Sherwin and Bird suggest that the so-called poison was more than likely non-lethal, just something that would make him sick. And they profusely explained that with the 50,000 documents stored in Sherwin's basement. And of course, Sherwin even admitted that this story was a bit exaggerated by Oppenheimer. So where do we go from here? To conclude, the Apple story does have some weak points. And as you know, films tend to do a good job at drawing their own made-up conclusions, like having Oppenheimer slap the apple out of Niels Bohr's hand, for instance. But I think Robert Oppenheimer believed this story to be true in his own mind, and he may have dramatized some of the details to make for a fun conversation with his pals.
You mother... I almost had him! You stuttering prick yet? Frankie, was he shaking?
So that's going to wrap up this video. Tell me what you think in the comments section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.